Hey, what's going on guys? Jeremy from Bethwell Studios here. If you're a fan, or at least a viewer of my channel, you've probably wondered where I've been for the past few years. I have, kind of disappeared, and then just suddenly rebranded the entire channel. At that time, I created a digital entertainment company with my friend and co-founder, which we have now named Bethwell Studios. Together we've discussed projects that we want to work on, put them into concept, and a bunch of other stuff. The big thing of today, however, is a game we've made called Boxman Adventures. This game is currently out now, and as this video title should suggest, this is going to be a devlog telling you about the whole process that's gone behind making the game, to getting it online, and all that stuff in between. As all good creative projects go, or at least the good ones, Boxman Adventures began with an idea. First off, it was more or less we had a drawing that I made at one point, and then it kind of spiraled from there. Just a box-shaped man, and thought he would make it a platformer as that's the simplest thing. It went through many different ideas. At one point it was just going to be a bunch of cave levels, like going through an ice cave, sort of magma cave. But that didn't exactly go for the best sort of environment look. You can't do much with just caves, I feel, or at least both of us thought. So we kept the main character, as long as most of his mechanics as platformer, and thought, let's do this sort of like Spyro and other, old school 3D games. We thought, let's choose different biomes such as like jungles, all that, volcanoes, deserts. We had a cave level to sort of nod back to the original idea, and then along with that we have a few festive sort of things like a Halloween and circus level. Now that we had that idea done, or at least that concept for what we were going to do, it was ready to go into the development stage, or go into more planning at least. After the last stage, which was, part of the ideas and planning, then it came to the deciding stage, which isn't too long, and me and my co-founder had to make a few decisions about the game development, some of which include which software to use, like 3D modeling software, game engine, which sort of music station or music creating software we wanted to use. We also had to decide what genre to make, along with whether or not to make the game 3D or not. We questioned a few things like what we would call the game, which we didn't decide until much later in the process, so we'll get back to that one later. So that's most of the deciding stage. Now on to the next one. Once we made most of our big decisions for the project, we encountered a little bit of a slow burning stage, if you will. Part that was very challenging, would have made most people give up, since neither me nor my coworker actually have any idea at the time how to make video games. This was the learning stage, learning how to do stuff like programming in C#, 3D modeling, art, stuff like color theory, how to use, game engine Unity. Can't really make a game without knowing how the stuff works. This was the fun part. We had to make music, majority of things from scratch that we couldn't find online. So we had to go through tutorial after tutorial. We had, worked ourselves up to where we felt comfortable doing our roles, and then, got into the main meat and potatoes of it, development. Which, that's gonna be a fun, long, and arduous process. To begin with the development stage, me and my partner knew we didn't want to make anything too complicated, since Boxman Adventures was, supposed to be a learning experience for us. We didn't want it to, require stuff that was too far out of our reach, nothing too advanced. We wanted to use this just to grow in our respective fields, learn the stuff of our trade, a task which, considering the game is out now, has been so far a success. It's not easy putting together a game, especially if you don't know what you're doing. It was long, tedious, difficult in some parts, easier in others. We challenged ourselves to learn new and exciting things there, and seeing as it's now complete and, on Steam, it turns out it was a success. We'll see how it goes from the future. Now we get on to the boring part of, or what most people would consider to be the boring part of game design and development, the business side. After creating a product, which, Boxman Adventures, we decided it was time to figure out how we were gonna get the game out to people and sell it. See, we thought Steam, that's one of the biggest platforms for games, mainstream, or at least somewhat appeal, and most people in the industry know what Steam is, and thought that would be a good place to have the game since a lot of people use it. It would get our game out to as many people as possible. And it was a long and very tedious process just to get it on there and reviewed. So many steps, integrations you have to do, but now back to what I mentioned before. We didn't have a title for the game. Since we wanted to put it online, we would need a title, since you can't just put a no-named project online. Since all we had at the time was the name of the character, Boxman, we thought, cool, this is going to be some of his adventures. Let's make that the title. And that's when we had our project title, went through the entire process of getting the game online, and after 2 years of hard, very slow build-up, finally made it onto the Steam page. Now out, so people can purchase and say whether or not they think it's good or mediocre. As a little closing note for this video, just wanted to thank everyone who stuck around for the channel, subscribers, people who just watch, and to everyone who's bought the game on Steam. Although it isn't much, I feel like it's a valuable starting point for our business. Going forward, we want to try and publish more videos to the channel, as well as create more games like Boxman. I hope those of you who have played it enjoyed it, and to those of you who have watched so far, I hope you've enjoyed the video. That being said, I think it's about time I head out. See y'all next time.